Hopefully everyone's faring well. It has been a little while, so not too long. I was planning on streaming last week, but things didn't quite go as planned. Likewise, the author was intending to stream on Monday, and he really should have made a post about it, but unfortunately he ended up with a migraine. As for the bird brain, well, as you may have read in a tweet from the author, unfortunately he has to cancel all of the Tuesday streams. No skin off my back, I suppose, and it means that it'll be more likely that there'll be Wednesday streams, but so it goes. Effectively, he's just going to be busy on Wednesday mornings, which of course leaves them a little better prepared to handle Wednesday evenings. More or less, I don't know. I don't particularly care. I'm here one way or the other. Now then, tonight we're going to be starting Dishonored. Lily may be sitting in with us here and there. It depends on both her mood as well as how much the dear doll actually manages to get rested. She does apparently quite enjoy this series, although I've never touched it. So we'll see how things go. We don't really have anything else in the way of announcements yet, so I'll go ahead and get us started. Let's go ahead and kill the music, dim the lights, and pull up the game. That is significantly louder for headphones than it was prior. Let's try it 70% for now, and I'll turn it lower later if need be. We do also have all the DLC for this game, that being some DLC-specific storylines. I believe there may be some DLC missions, but I'm not entirely sure how that works. I know the Knife of Dunwall is meant to be something prequelish as well as concurrent to the story, and the same goes for the Brigmore Witches. I have no idea what Dunwall City Trials is, though, so I'll look into that later. There is also something of a definitive edition modification for the game, but we didn't have time to look into that before the stream, so that's something for the future. Oddly enough, the frame rate of the game seemed to be tied to the resolution to some extent. It defaulted to 1600 by whatever, which only gave 30 FPS. But once we put it to the standard FPS of 1920 by 1080, it went up to 60 FPS. Curious, but so it goes. You've just returned from a journey of several months, visiting the other nations in the Empire to ask for aid in dealing with the rat plague. You must deliver the diplomatic response to the Empress, whom you serve as Lord Protector.
Corvo, if only there was someone else I trusted to send, so that you could remain near. But there is no one else.
Yes, we will have
And
to
the
turn it down
Spymaster was
just a
right to
little bit
insist
more
that I
after
send
this
you.
cutscene.
The The plague has taken so many, and we must find a cure. When you are near, my heart is at peace. Emily and I will count the days until you return. Hurry home and bring good news.
Renhaven River.
Steady hand. That's it. Watch it. Cast off line. Casting off. We're away. Take us straight to Dunwall Tower. Lord Corvo has news for the Empress, and we've come a long way.
A long way to bring bad news. The sailors say there's a curse on us. Black magic.
3 more months. Superstition. For all we know, there's a cure for the plague by now.
Maybe. We live in strange times. Sending the Empress's bodyguard away for a couple of months. That's...
See, the whaling industry is alive and
We need help
well.
with the rat plague.
The rats appear to be having a bit of a problem.
Ho there! We're going up. Seal, ready. Turning on the pipes. And she's rising. Home at last.
There's certainly one way to handle a gate mechanism. Fill it with water so that a boat rises, much like an elevator. Although I question the efficacy.
The Empress will be waiting for your news, Corvo.
Fair voyage, sir? All quiet up here.
Also some
Corvo.
very fancy
Go see
furniture
the
here.
Empress.
You know what to do next time?
Welcome back, Lord Protector.
It's been
Hello,
good
sir.
traveling with you, Corvo.
Corvo, you're back!
And suddenly a child.
Will you tell me about your trip, please? Were there any whales? Wait! Let's play hide and seek first. I'll cover my eyes and you hide. You have time? Mother's busy talking to that nasty old spy master.
Who might
Okay, here we
refuse the whims of a child.
Later, will you give me more climbing lessons? Someday I'm going to climb up to the rooftop.
Welcome home, Lord Protector.
Well, clearly someone has too much time on his hands.
You, Corvo, welcome back. From wherever you've been. They sent him all around the Isles to beg for aid. A waste of time. My elixir will banish the plague from this city. Now keep still a moment, High Overseer Campbell.
Let's see if you're still good at this. I'll hide my eyes and count, and at the end of the countdown, I'll try and find you. Okay, I'm going to count to 10. Find a place to hide.
Let's keep it simple for the young one.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Unfortunately, I can't enter the bushes, so...
Where are you? Corvo, if you will marry my mother, would you marry me?
No.
You saw my improvements to the
Anton
water.
Sokolov. Sure. That's certainly one way to keep water off of a chair, I suppose, although I'm not sure how needed it is.
It was a fool's errand, Corvo. The plague comes from inside us. We must all strengthen our faith.
Indeed we
I
must.
must ask you to hold your pose. What are you doing? I need the bottle to draw the eye away from Campbell. I suppose I can paint him without the cider, though in truth he is always close to the stuff.
You know what they say, you must strengthen your inner resolve.
Should we gather? She'll see you at once.
As if I'm constantly interrupting conversations by mistake.
Have you ever met my niece Callista? She's getting more beautiful every year.
Hello, my lord.
They're sick people, not criminals.
We've gone beyond that question, Your Majesty.
They're my citizens, and we will save them from the plague if we can. All of them.
Very well.
We will not speak of this again.
Mother, Corvo is back.
Thank you, Emily. Leave us, please.
As you wish, Your Majesty. Corvo. 2 days early. Full of surprises, as usual.
For a spy master, you seem even more untrustworthy.
City get any worse? Never doubt it.
Follow me, Captain. We should leave them alone.
Very untrustworthy. Reminds me of Ace Attorney, though for reasons I shan't mention.
Mother told me that your trip was important. She's been worried.
It's a fair wind that brings you home to me. What news have you brought? I hoped that one of the other cities had dealt with this before, knew of some cure. This news is very bad. We're at the breaking point. Cowards. They're going to blockade us. They'll wait to see if the plague turns the city into a graveyard.
Are you okay, Mother? You seem sad.
Yes, don't worry, darling. Mother is fine. Wait, where are the guards? Who sent them away?
Your spy master.
What are they doing on the rooftop?
What?
Well, that's not good.
Emily, get behind me! Look out! Another one! Corvo, thank you. If you hadn't been here... No more! Not again!
Mommy!
No! Get away from her!
Corvo! Mommy! Get away! Corvo!
This is why you confirm the kill.
Corvo, it's all coming apart. Find Emily. Protect her. You're the only one. You'll know what to do. Won't you? Corvo.
Ward us all. Look at what he's done.
Yes, he's killed the Empress.
Yes, continue to glance around
What did you do with
suspiciously.
young Lady Emily, traitor?
Her own bodyguard. Ironic.
I'll see you beheaded for this, Corvo. Take him.
Looks more like two panicked little weasels trying to see if anyone has discovered their ruse. Coldridge Prison. 6 months have passed since you were accused by the Royal Spy Master of murdering the Empress and conspiring to abduct her daughter, Emily, the royal heir. Now locked away in Coldridge Prison, the time of your execution draws near.
This is your final chance, Corvo. Sign the confession, and let me give you the rights to put your spirit at ease.
That's enough for now. Get out. Let's give the man some time to think. Corvo, the Empress is dead. Her daughter Emily is hidden away, and no one will ever know the truth.
Yes, unlucky you. Tomorrow you'll be executed, but it's for a good cause. This country needs strong leadership now, someone to guide the weak. And that's where we come in.
There was nothing personal in this, even though you almost sank our plans. But it turned out well. You were in the wrong place at the right time, and someone has to take the fall. Goodbye, Corvo. Guards! Take him back to his cell.
Oh, don't worry. Someone will take the fall, but it won't be me.
You should eat, Corvo. This meal comes from a friend.
They really must do some maintenance around here. At least we have running water.
Hey, don't you owe me a drink? Bug someone else.
It's settled. Corvo, who we are is irrelevant right now. Just know that we have faith in you. Here is the key to your cell. Once you're out, head for the prison's interrogation room. Take the explosive there and plant it on the outer wall. When the bomb goes off, run. Make for the river and lose yourself in the sewers. You'll find some useful gear stashed there. One of the prison guards will leave a weapon just outside your cell. And good luck. We need you alive and well for what's to come. The Friend. Now would be a good time to turn up the sensitivity. That'll do for now.
So many people are coming to the execution tomorrow.
I don't belong here. I never did nothing. She lied.
The one who killed the Empress and abducted her daughter, Emily. So it's an occasion.
I shouldn't be here.
Right.
Now I'm gonna die for
Social
nothing.
event for the high and mighty. Come see
Let
the
me
noble
out.
Lord Protector
I've got
with his
3
head
days
shaved.
before they cut my head off.
They're as bad as us betting on the dogfights.
You're out. Good for you. Cut some throats.
Attention. The solitary wing is off limits to maintenance crews, unless accompanied by an
Rich
officer of
milk
the
bloods for
watch.
putting me here.
Escort through the solitary wing must be scheduled in advance, with 1 week's notice.
Well, at least we can do a non-lethal takedown. Unfortunately, using stealth and the non-lethal approach has benefits. A fewer rats and weepers, some people react favorably, and the final outcome is not as dark.
Seen anybody with
with signs of the sickness? You're such a choffer. Huh?
Let's just put you back in here. Unfortunately, I can't close the door.
I'd steal from the Boyle family. I just worked on their roof.
Attention. Tomorrow's execution will be restricted to the personnel assigned to the event and approved dignitaries only.
It's just ridiculous. Stupid rats. Plague. Elixir. Bunch of crap. Stupid goddamn.
What do we do with a drunken soldier?
Maintenance crew, unless accompanied by an officer of the watch. Escort through the solitary wing must be scheduled in advance, with 1 week's notice.
Way loyal tax. Good for the city, good for us all. If you can incubate tax. Not like I can properly read that resolution, unfortunately, and I do have the details turned up. A tin of potted whale and delightful. The Hound Pits, Scutter versus Black. Good to know dog fighting is live and well.
Someone help me out! Take that! Where'd it go? It won't stay hidden for long.
Yes, where did he go? It is truly a mystery.
I know you're somewhere around here. Can't stay hidden forever. Nasty furry filth. Assassin!
Well, alrighty then. That was unfortunate and annoying. Somehow him entering the animation to tackle the rats.
Damn you! Eat metal!
Any time you wish to get out of my way.
Ferry wing is off limits to maintenance crews, unless accompanied by an officer of the watch.
Just die! Lost it. Someone help me out! Can't believe we lost it. Oh, I'll find you. I'll flush you out. I'll find you. I know you're somewhere around here.
Alright then, back on track. Now I need a key, which I have no doubt that particular guard has.
Stay hidden for long.
Unfortunately, I have made a mistake of assuming that reload is the R button and not the heal button. A waste of a potion.
I'll find you, you hagfish.
Personnel assigned to the event and
Keep running.
Where in heaven's Woman's name. There you go. Thank you for giving us the pickpocket tutorial after the fact. Just as well. And we can slide. Time will tell how useful that actually is.
Attention. The solitary wing is off limits to maintenance crews, unless accompanied by an officer of the watch. Escort through the solitary wing must be scheduled in advance, with 1 week's notice.
I'm so glad I can walk on top of that. With a large screwdriver.
Corvo's unconscious again. Though he's taken more punishment than the 2 men we brought in for interrogation. When he wakes, we'll start again. Having him sign the confession for her murder isn't critical, but it might be useful to us later. The assassination of an empress is not a trivial matter.
Duty officers report Corvo's interrogation. Corvo Atano, formerly the Royal Protector, will be brought in for interrogation. This is, of course, utmost importance. The Lord Regent and High Overseer Campbell will conduct the questioning themselves, follow their orders without hesitation, and keep the torturer under control. If Corvo dies in his hands instead of getting the public execution the Lord Regent wants, it'll be your head that rolls next. The Trials of Aptitude. Excerpt from a book on the esoteric practices of the Abbey. Once a child shows the proper inclination, he is marked. Overseers are assigned to study the subject surreptitiously, in order to determine whether this inclination is supported by cosmological conditions and other signs ongoing throughout the year. At the end of the cycle, those befitting further testing are removed from their homes some hours before dawn, and must begin the march to an outpost outside the city. There the children undergo ritual preparation and evaluation until the last night of the month of rain, when they make a pilgrimage to Whitecliff. During an elaborate ceremony, it is determined which of the children will become overseers, and which must be put down.
Ackworth, you lazy slug. Did you patrol the yard?
Sorry, not yet. I was gonna report that boiler leak from yesterday.
Forget it. Just do your rounds. A report's trouble for both of us.
I'm moving.
hear Morris was dragged off by the overseers?
Attention. Tomorrow's execution will be restricted to the personnel assigned to the event and approved
Yeah, but everything
dignitaries
has to be
only.
set up today.
I can't wait to see his head roll. Not everyone did. I really like the Empress.
There we go, nice and safe and secure. A nice cushy job, both safe and secure in a closed room.
Wing is off limits to maintenance unless accompanied by an officer of the watch. Escort to the solitary wing must be scheduled in advance with 1 week's notice.
Ratchet Jelly Deals is... Thank you, game, for not only getting me stuck on some things, but
Dump you in the river. Get him.
Watch it! Personnel assigned to the event and approved dignitaries only.
Let's feed him to the house.
Take out his legs.
not the cleanest of escapes, but it'll do. Though one can only be so stealthy when you're blowing up a wall. Dunwall Sewers. You've escaped Coldridge Prison with the help of hidden allies. If you can reach the Wrenhaven River, they promise to aid you in your next move.
Use some kind of explosive to blast his way out. That doesn't happen by accident.
You think he had help? Who'd know how to do that?
Bottle Street gang, maybe.
That is a lot of rats.
Could be some down here by the look of it.
Good. If we're lucky, one of them will get Corvo.
You're afraid of him? He's Sir Conan. It's all merchants and whores down there.
Kids like you never saw what he was like. I saw him fight 3 to 1 in the practice yard. In a whirlwind.
I hope it's me that finds him.
I hope it is too.
Corvo, if you're reading this, that means our plan worked and you've broken free from Coldridge. One of our contacts is hidden weapons for you somewhere deeper in the sewers. Grab the gear and find Samuel where these tunnels dump out into the river. He will bring you to us. A friend who will meet you soon. rats, and for the wow, they are really going at it. Those are some ravenous rats. Look at them go. Nothing left. The rats are eating our babies. You cannot kill the rat plague. I'm so glad I know where the hidden supplies are. Unfortunate. Damien's journal. Amanda and I only had enough coin to buy half the elixir we needed. Even that's all gone now, and there's nothing to do but wait. We're very sick, and there's no place above to hide from the city watch. They're breaking the houses all over our district. So we'll stay here and share the last hours together. Our fire will keep the rats away, but they'll inherit the city. Damien. That is a sturdy little board. Excuse me. Well, I tried.
Aren't we supposed to load the bodies into carts headed to the flooded district?
Yeah, but screw that. That's too far. I don't want to catch the plague. You?
No. Doesn't the elixir prevent it?
Maybe. Either way, let's just dump them down there. Let the rats eat them.
Forgive me, but I don't have much of a choice in this matter.
Attention Dunwall citizens. The assassin Corvo, responsible for the murder of our fair Empress and the disappearance of Lady Emily, heir to the throne, has temporarily escaped state custody. Any evidence as to his whereabouts must be delivered to the City Watch at once.
Well, at least copper wire is immediately valuable. Meanwhile, we have other first traps. And the second over there. as if there was something else in there near the floor. Moving on. No jumping allowed. Well, that clearly hasn't stopped any of them. I have no idea what hemlock essence is used for, as it's not noted in my inventory. Let's see what it goes. To the Lord Protector. Greetings, Corvo, or shall I say Lord Protector, as you were known before that title was wrongfully taken from you. We are servants of the Empire and of the true Empress, a group of loyalists who want very much to meet you. Take these weapons, crafted for you of the finest materials of the Isles, and meet with our man Samuel near where these tunnels spill into Renhaven River. All haste and luck. We share a common purpose. Good evening, Timmy. Hopefully the little cat is doing well. We have some slate darts. Delightful. We also have a proper sword now. Light, retractable, and sharper than a razor. Jelly's share. Jelly, in case you're too deaf to remember, look to your whiskey for the answer. Whiskey, got it? If you want your share, you'll sort it out. If not, we'll come back for it next month. Four, five, one. Very nice jewel box and another health elixir. Delightful.
He won't get past me, sir.
Do you know who we're hunting here? Don't try to take him out alone.
But what if no one from the squad is around?
And try to make a lot of noise when you die. Knock something over if you can.
Bastard. Smells like a dead...
Drop on an enemy from above and press mouth button before landing on him to form a drop assassination. You won't take any damage from the fall. Well, that's very good to hear, except for the fact that then I would be murdering him rather than simply knocking him out.
Tell me again what you'll do if Slackjaw and his Bottle Street boys jump you. Another night, another patrol with you. Stay alert, you worms. He's not getting out this way on my watch.
here, sir. Simply give money. I'm sure there are several Andrews which may take offense to that. No.
Attention Dunwall citizens. The assassin Corvo, responsible for the murder of our fair Empress and the disappearance of Lady Emily, heir to the throne, has temporarily escaped state custody. Any evidence as to his whereabouts must be delivered to the City Watch at once.
Corvo, over here. Quickly, I'm a friend. I'm Samuel, and I work for some good people who want very much to meet you. They said you'd come out here. I can still hardly believe it. I'll take you to meet them. Just down the river from here.
And submission stats, delightful. Although it appears as also account of the coins become very frustrating. Appears that aside from that, I did virtually everything aside from completely avoid detection, which is a little irritating, but so it goes. Nobody killed, low chaos, agilely safe opened. The Hound Pits Pub. Hidden allies. Hidden in an old bar on the river, your new allies have plans to share with you. Meet with the Loyalists' inner circle to learn what they've got in mind.
This is the Hound Pits pub. Closed for business. Half the district marked off as dead from the plague. We're right under the Lord Regent's nose, and he don't know a thing. Of course, if anyone finds out what we're up to, the Watch will break in with swords drawn. And now that you've escaped, the Lord Regent's going to be tearing the city apart.
The city already looks to be torn apart, plague or no plague. How's that building still standing?
The Admiral's a man to be reckoned with. If anyone can help you find that missing girl, Lady Emily, and clear your name, he can. I expect they're hard at work in there. Best join them. They'll help you get whoever really killed the Empress.
Alright, while I pause, I do need to check something for just a moment. Alright, no issue there. Let's pull that back up, and let's continue. The outsider walks among us.
I'm sure the Admiral was anxious to meet you. It wasn't easy getting you here.
So it's starting at last, Admiral. We've found our man. Even after 6 months in Coldridge Prison, he slipped out like it was nothing.
Yes. Not surprising. He was the personal bodyguard of the Empress. You've heard the stories.
Yes, I have. It still amazes me that someone could get to the Empress and young Lady Emily.
No one knows the real story, Trevor. We all have our suspicions. We'll know the truth in time.
He's strong and quick. But I hope he understands subtlety as well.
This isn't one of your fancy dress parties. The reality is that we need men killed. Have you ever killed a man?
Only with my wit. But it's a fair point as always. He'll be here soon, and I'm looking forward to meeting him.
See, though, we're having a number of conversations about us. I'm curious to explore. Also, some empty chairs and empty tables.
We can continue this later, Lord Pendleton. The man of the hour is here. Corvo, I'm Admiral Havelock. A true servant of the Empire, like you. Until the Lord Regent purged those of us who wouldn't recognize his claim on the throne.
And I'm Lord Trevor Pendleton. I represent the nobility in our little group. But we all act as equals here at the Hound Pits pub.
This is a momentous occasion, Corvo. I'm going to come out with it. We've been building a coalition of loyalists, aimed at ending the Lord Regent's tyranny and restoring the throne.
At risk of execution, we're committed to finding young Lady Emily and seeing her crowned as Empress.
We've got big plans, but we can't do any of it without you. We need your skills, your ability in a fight, and in helping us, we're going to help you destroy the men who murdered the Empress.
Sorry, you must be exhausted. We can discuss this further after you've recovered. But before you retire, you should introduce yourself to Piero. He's challenging at times, but his industrious mind buys him that right.
Excuse me if I'm not
Piero's
immediately
much
trusting of another noble.
He's going to be crafting the gear you'll need. Go talk to him, and then get some sleep. We can talk more when you've rested. Good to have you with us, Corvo. Nothing against the others, but there's no substitute for a man who's done his service for the crown.
At least there's some shared respect there, if we were well alright with it.
Have you talked to Piero yet? He made the weapons we left for you on your way out of Coleridge Prison. Go see him when you can.
Powdered crystal. Interesting. Despite being abandoned, I see that you haven't bothered perusing the area.
I'll be crafting
I'll explain
your
the sound from earlier.
all custom work. For you, I will create the tools of a master assassin. No! This cannot happen now. The tank of whale oil is running. Will you get a new tank from upstairs, please, while I hold this in place? Be careful. The oil's unstable. When it explodes, there's a terrible mess.
Sure thing, although you may have to look into this. The fact that it simply falls out is not exactly safe. Forgive me, I'd assume they would simply be refilling this thing. Hopefully this is entirely... Ah, you do refill them. Way in the way.
Perfect. Now plug it in. Perfect. Thank you, Cole. Here, see? The assassin's mask. You're a wanted man, so everyone in the city knows your face, but this mask will mean terror to them. If you just hold still, the fit must be precise. There. Can you see normally? Center lens out of alignment. There. Better now? I could create more for you. Upgrades for your gear, weapons, munitions. But our situation here is desperate. Scavenge the city for valuables, and I will resell them on the black market. That should give us the money to craft the things you need. Tell me what I can make for you.
Might explain how we so readily get money from some things such as the hemlock and the copper wire. We can purchase sleep bolts at least. Being able to rewire circuitry certainly sounds intriguing. Don't even have bone charms yet, but I can imagine that would be quite useful. We have to purchase that later. Whereas that would be useful in an emergency, leastwise because it's certainly one way to exit combat. The fact that a crossbow may miss to begin with is also quite an issue.
You must be exhausted. I advise that you get some sleep. Your life will get even more difficult soon. You should rest while you can. Very well. You know best. Let me know if you need anything more.
You seem a little off, but a bit more trustworthy at least. And again, that's just because you're making me. And I can bring him blueprints as well. Here, allow me to carry this up for you and plug it back in. Fascinating.
My break with the Academy was...
The Academy teaches that absurd idea that the energy in whale oil
I had to
rises
rebuild from scratch, but
life
so much the better. I was sick of using tools made by lesser men. Tell me what I can make for you.
Well, I had intended to either repeat or restart the conversation, alright.
The Academy teaches that absurd idea that the energy in whale oil arises from the need to maintain life functions at extreme ocean depths. The pressure and the cold are too much to endure without it. I speculate that a human being might, by a process of adaptation, produce high-energy humors in the body. I could build a tank that would slowly increase pressure on a subject over a long period of time and then observe them for years if need be to see if the formulation of energetic substances develop. Surely the Empress would be able to furnish me with facilities subject to the necessary legal amnesty.
Well, at least you acknowledge the fact that it would be illegal and you would need support for it. I was speaking.
Yes, but fundamentally a second-rate mind.
You're both mad geniuses, for better and for worse, I suppose. It is an interesting theory, but one unlikely to work.
Even a genius needs a patron. I have been fortunate to ally with men like the Admiral and yourself.
The reason for his support in this little endeavor is also clear. Yeah, well, still more trustworthy, given you're open about why you're doing this.
Unlocked 1/100th of its mysteries.
Viero's Remedy. Cures torpid liver, chest cold, so it is useful outside of, the rat play. The Dead Counter Responsibilities. Exit from a manual on new City Watch procedures. Commissioned by the Lord Regent in the face of the growing plague crisis, the Dead Counter is a position that will only be given to officers, usually of junior or middle grades. In most matters of edict or curfew enforcement, these officers will defer to the acting officer on duty. However, any dead counter will have command in situations related to the plague and the handling of the dead, including those with late-stage plague symptoms, called weepers in common parlance. Starting in the month of rain, interested officers may apply for the test, and if accepted, for the 2-week training tour. Pay will be administered in coin and rations of elixir at 1 1/2 normal pay grade. And buried beneath, failed experiments. Excerpt from a series of lectures on natural philosophy by Piero Joplin. Of course, I've attempted to improve upon Sokolov's designs. Of course. And why not? After all, it is likely that his thinking was influenced in some small way by our time together at the Academy. We are all part of a community, striving to unknot the mysteries of the cosmos. Even those among us who possess the greatest minds are often led to a fruitful line of consideration by, how does one say it, our intellectual subordinates. Sokolov is no exception to this, despite the glamour of genius he has cast over the aristocracy. And further, it is true that many of my experiments have failed. No need to gossip about it behind my back in your social clubs and in the varied chambers of the Academy itself. Great ambition requires risks. You may laugh now at my door to nowhere, but somewhere you will not. Your children will likely see it as commonly as you see the electric lamps lighting our streets at night. But a few short years ago you would have laughed at Sokolov's arc pylon or a wall of light. Your laughter, your condescending smiles, they're nothing but evidence of your own limited imagination. Can't help but be curious as to exactly what that is, but... Whale vivisection. That means it's still alive, if memory serves. Excerpt from the notes of a natural philosopher aboard a whaling ship. Remarkably, each specimen I had the pleasure of studying during the voyage possessed some minor variance in physiology. On the second leg of the trip, east of Sivia, the crew hauled aboard a female, some 42 feet in length. I estimated she weighed 35 tons, and the ship sat low, rocking side to side through the night with her thrashing. By candlelight, I took her apart, sketching and taking notes. Against her bellowing, I cut into the massive tentacles around her mouth. Within, I found row upon row of teeth and a baleen running along the upper jaw. Through this broom-like structure, I assumed she filtered food from the water that was too small to be chewed. Massive tentacles, seems a little Lambon. Whale oil refilling station. Sokolov no longer has the upper hand with regard to supplies of whale oil. The good Admiral has paid for the installation of my own system, which will enable me to work in this place. The oil tank dispenser, when activated, will produce an empty vessel for filling. When the empty tank is held near the oil tank refill pump, the magnetic attractor should take the tank and lock it into the correct configuration. Using the lever, we'll begin the refueling process. Once refilling is completed, the tank can be removed and placed in service. Extreme caution must be used in handling the full tanks. They are quite unstable. The system is sound and well-engineered. It appears that a Greaves Oil Company has done something correctly, for once. Whale oil processing. Excerpt from the founder of the Greaves Whale House by Ebenezer Greaves. Out at sea, they secure the beast with hooks, with lines cast from the main ship and from several smaller boats. Buoys keep the whale from diving deep. Once it's caught, a larger hook is driven through the tail, which is used to hoist the creature up through the chute. They moan and bellow for some time as the men get them onto the deck, then lift them into the scaffolding overhead. The ship adjusts its prow and returns support on Dunwall, while the crew works on the great creature, slicing off the fattiest parts while it still lives. I suppose that's one way to keep things fresh, although that is terribly gruesome. The poor thing. Metal Leaf Crematorium and Fluid Works. Allow us to remove your departed loved one. 200 coins. Well, I'm sorry. I suppose we have decided to sell your star chart. Meanwhile, thrown in a corner, Sokolov Technology and the New Age. Which goes off the edge a little bit, until it doesn't. Excerpt from a recent book detailing Sokolov's machines. One of the advantages of Sokolov's technologies is that they share the same magnetic socket for the tanks of processed whale oil they use as fuel. When a tank is exhausted, another can be plugged into place with ease, and the process is simple enough that any common workman or even lower guardsman of the City Watch can handle the task. This applies to the arc pylon and wall of light security systems, as well as the powered carriages used for transport by those few who are wealthy enough to afford them. The only obvious downside of Sokolov's designs is the volatility of the tanks themselves. A few incidents have occurred, resulting in damage to property or bodily harm whenever one of the tanks has exploded. I suppose he may have been somewhat upset to have discovered that was something made by Sokolov. Why can we turn these on? A second solution. Excerpt from a series of newspaper articles from prominent natural philosophers by Pierre Joplin. It is through no fault of my own that the average citizen has expressed a preference for Sokolov's elixir over my own formula, sold as Pierre's remedy, a name I did not choose if you must know the truth. The public has spoken its usual message of idiocy, spending their coin as a means of selecting Sokolov's formula over mine, which I believe to be equal, if not superior. Much has been made over the popularity of these concoctions as a means of resisting this remarkable new plague. I say remarkable because this strain works with an efficiency we have not seen in the history of the Empire. This plague, now making its way through the city of Dunwald, is unrivaled in its effectiveness. I have studied it within the blood of those who afflicted and it is nearly perfect. Elegant, in fact. While it is true that Pierre's remedy and Sokolov's elixir are known to protect the body against the plague equally, my own has properties, not fully understood, which relate to the mind itself and the spirit. It is in this way that my formula wins out. Here is where one should pay attention to the contest. For you see, Sokolov's elixir, with its emphasis on the brute animal body, is a crass goo better suited for livestock. The subtle and secret variants in the key ingredients making up Pierre's remedy ensure that it works on a higher functions that separate mankind from the mindless blue-jawed hagfish swimming in the Wrenhaven River. I can't help but wonder if those will be able to restore our man once we unlock it. Meanwhile, Piero's request is denied. Piero, no, I will not sign off on these purchases. A bag of powdered crystal. Evian ore. What is wrong with metals in crystal? King sparrow feathers? If you need feathers, sacrifice your own pillow. Maybe at the academy, everything you needed was paid for by tariff and handed out willy-nilly. But this is my bar, all what's left of it, and we're operating on a budget. We're running low on oil, food, elixir, building materials, and everything else, so you've got to slow down. While I'm footing the bill, I will not approve your purchases unless they're absolutely required. No more copper wire or special herbs. If you need those things, go out and scavenge them. The city's in ruins, so no one's got to miss any of the old crap you seem to need. Admiral Havelock.
River traffic is forbidden from landing in the distillery district due to risk of infectious contact. Violators will be taken to the flooded district for treatment and rehabilitation.
Speaking of medicinal herbs. The young Prince of Sivia. Exit from a theatre play. Lord Nathan Bale, shaking with outrage. How dare you, sir, clothed so in my very home? I shall hand you over to the watch, depraved Sivian. Prince Kalazar moving closer. That's a harsh welcome for royalty, my lord. Your daughter treated me with much more hospitality. Alas, she's gone out for the evening, leaving me all alone. Lord Nathan Bale, stammering, studying the younger man before him. The mouse wheel is not doing so well at the moment. What are you doing? Leave this house. Go back to your frozen wasteland, pale rascal. Prince Kalazar, smiling coyly, reaching out. No need for anger between us, Lord Bale. It is so wrong for me to be here. As I have proven, I have developed an affinity for you and your family. Lord Nathan Bale, gasping. Oh my, Kalazar, your skin is so warm it burns. Well, alrighty then, I suppose the prince is most successful in his endeavors. The Shadow on Bitterleaf. Excerpt from a longer work of fiction. Finding my way by the feeble light of the dying fire, I saw her working. A large needle moved in her hand, following precise esoteric patterns, knots and loops of seamstress craft from ancient days. Beneath her needle, his body clenched and shuddered, shaking the wooden table. A morbid fascination pushed me closer until she turned her blank voice towards me, resting the needle in his flesh. With a refined tone, she addressed me. So you are the lover, I presume. You too have been unfaithful, and it is now your turn to be mended. Well, things are not going to be doing very well then. Agatha's Tale, Volume 2. Excerpt from the travel journal of a whaler in his final years. Agatha's Tale, Volume 2, or Agatha's Final Passage. After more than a quarter of a century, I am done with whaling, too broken to continue. I've seen all the corners of the isles that made more coin than most men see in a lifetime. That's all gone. I've lived through an emperor and watched his daughter take the throne, fair young empress she was, but slain so young. Everything beautiful comes to die. I've been in every port of the known world and sailed in the loneliest waters you could imagine. I've seen the cliffs around Pandysia. Even the best of it doesn't give me an ounce of joy. The years come back across my dreams as a line of bushed bodies, long and sleek and singing among the waves under the moonlight. I'd be speared by ugly weather-scarred men who'd knife each other for a good pair of boots. Each year I had less time to come home. My tongue forgot the language of small chatter, and those who lived in the cities thought me odd. My sister Nina hardly knew what to say to me during our visits. If she lost her business to the Lord Regent's crooked barrister, I was 100 miles east of Morley, gaff hand frozen from the sleet as we tracked the first bull whale we'd seen in months. I helped her as much as I could, but Nina died in the early days of the plague. None of it mattered. If I'm jaded and bitter, it's because this industry has taken away my dreams. The world has beaten me. Very unfortunate, although I suppose this means this was published after we were thrown in jail. Litany on the White Cliff. Excerpt from a series of Overseer invocations by High Overseer Abram Templeton. And I say to you, brothers, it is here that we make our stand as a righteous force against the growing darkness. It is here that we unite against the spirits of the unknown that will drag us screaming into the night, never to return to our homes, to our families. Together we will serve as a rod to those who would stray from the herd, but foggy grey wastes of the outsider. We will burn a bright fire with our virtuous actions so that others will not lose their way. And to those who choose to wander, beyond the walls of our home, in far places, we will strike at them swiftly before they whisper to their neighbors, filling their hearts with strangeness and doubt. Very curious. Which of these are the alleged white cliffs, albeit obviously at night time? Oh, do you have a name?
Hi. You must be Corvo. I am Lydia, at your service. Your room is upstairs and ready. When they told me who it was, well, I thought you'd be older, like the Admiral.
Yeah, thick.
Do not attempt to
It's
house
not
or
intending to
care
pull
for a
those out,
friend
but
or
alright.
family member who shows signs
I'm
of
sorry
blood
it's
on
so
their
dark.
face
We
and
can't
chest
risk
area.
being seen.
The only
It
way
is
to
a bit
help them
romantic,
is to
though,
bring
isn't
them
it?
to the City Watch. They will be taken to the flooded district.
Excuse me, let me grab the author for this. Harpooner Songs, excerpt from a book of sea shanties sung by sailors. What will we do with a drunken whaler? What will we do with a drunken whaler? What will we do with a drunken whaler early in the morning? Feed 'em to the hungry rats for dinner. Feed 'em to the hungry rats for dinner. Feed 'em to the hungry rats for dinner early in the morning. Excuse me, my throat's a little achy after work. Way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises early in the morning. Slice his throat with a rusty cleaver, slice his throat with a rusty cleaver, slice his throat with a rusty cleaver early in the morning. Stuff him in a sack and throw him over, stuff him in a sack and throw him over, stuff him in a sack and throw him over early in the morning. Way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises early in the morning. Alright, let me grab Lucius. Thank you. You really should work on that a little more. Oh, don't.
Yes, very much so, but no need to fear. He is here to work with our masters.
People say he killed the Empress.
Of course he didn't. People are foolish and believe whatever they're told.
Okay. If the Admiral trusts him, then so will I. The Admiral served in the Navy under the Empress. But something happened with the Lord Regent that drove the Admiral out. If I understand it right.
Please follow me to your quarters.
No, I don't think I shall. Unless this is it. Should be there to meet. An Inchmouth to core plate.
Pleased to meet you, Master Corvo. I saw you at court in happier days, but you might not remember. I was once a close ally to the Lord Regent, Hiram Burroughs, back when he was just the spy master. He's one manipulative bastard, I can tell you that. My furnishings have been installed at last with no small amount of complaining by that antiquated boatman. The others have no idea what it's like to suffer as I have. Speaking of which, Wallace, please breathe 2 bottles of Dunwall Red, never mind which, and fetch a clean glass. Well, I'll begin again tomorrow.
So terribly put upon, aren't you?
Attention Dunwall citizens. Be advised, the river crust infestation has...
Gaffer's Tale, Volume 1. If only I'd gone this one first. My sister Nina and I left Tivia together, saying goodbye to our aunt. The woman who had raised us since childhood. Leaving beyond our home city of Yarrow and the cold but beautiful white landscapes we had always known, we boarded a ship for Dunwall. Our parents had left us with a sizable inheritance, and we spent half of this getting to the capital city and establishing a small import shop dedicated to Tivian furs. Once I'd helped Nina establish the business, I was free to pursue my dream. Signing on with a whaling ship was the most exciting thing I'd ever done, and I saw it as a means to an end. Someday I would captain my own crew and eventually own a fleet of similar vessels. With tears in her eyes, Nina kissed me goodwill, and I did not see her for many months. As an apprentice to the gaffer, I got to see the tracking and killing of the great beasts up close. Nothing had ever fired my spirit so as the wind and pounding waves racing after a wounded whale, being pulled by a skein of cables embedded in its thick flesh. I changed more in those first 7 months than I had in the previous 7 years. Whaling was beginning to put its mark on me so that Nina barely recognized me when I returned. Tanned and sinewy with muscle, where the creases long, wrinkling the corners of my eyes. But she could see I was filled with joy, having found my purpose. What a shame.
Do not attempt to approach or destroy a river crust. Any items recovered from doing
Admiralty and the Fleet. Excerpt from a book on naval history. While each of the isles has some form of naval fleet, none is more envied than that of Bristol, with its long, proud history of great ships and the admirals who command them. Boys come of age in the cities of Bristol, hoping that someday a captain, such a ship, and family dynasties are made by those captains who trapped out infamous pirates or crushed seditious uprising, as during the Morlaix insurrection. I'm sure that's not implying anything at all for the future. In times of war and peace, Bristol continues to innovate at sea. The ship designs of Anton Sokolov himself now represent the highest standard in the whaling trade, allowing crews to hold their kill up over the deck and begin their butchering processing, even as the ship returns to Dunwall. The crews can be seen working on their latest whale as the ship moves slowly up the Wrenhaven River, coming to dock before the powerful whalehouse companies, such as the Greaves Whaling House. Suspended in the rigging overhead and backlit by the setting sun, the silhouette of one of these creatures makes a moving sight as it cruises to its final resting place in the industrial heart of the capital city.
are considered state property.
Log entry 1-4. It seems we've moved to a new phase.
What flat meadows.
Fruit. The former bodyguard has been freed and is en route to the staging location. With Pendleton's voting block and my military connections, all we've lacked is the ability to project lethal force in a controlled manner against a previously inaccessible... to the point, we need a man who can kill the bastards for us. Corvo is more than capable of that, I have no doubt. Enbog. Is this off? Switch. Switch, where the hell is it?
Log entry 1. It's been days since our men were dispatched to stash weapons for Corvo on the old sewer. They have not returned, so I can only hope that they succeeded in getting the packages delivered. Fierro spent considerable time and resources making these things. I could find a way to mass produce them that the Old Navy would secure his place as a dominant force in the globe. But back to Corvo. Can he actually break out of Coldridge, and if so, will he make his way here? I personally give him odds of 1 in 5. Well, you backed the right horse, even if I am robbing you blind. It's for the greater good. I see there's no 3rd floor. Is there a button to sheathe my weapons? What if I hold down the controller? No.
Lady Emily Caldwell was abducted 6 months ago during her mother's terrible murder. Anyone with information leading to the location or return of the daughter of our beloved late Empress is required to speak to the City Watch at once.
Given we can evidently sell processed whale oil, I suppose it's a shame we can't take advantage of the fact that we can simply fill jars with stuff. I assume that... that'll become relevant later.
Admiral Havelock made it very clear that we aren't to carry lamps outside.
You don't know what it means to work with a man who stood at the Empress's right hand.
I was paying attention to, forget not.
Attention all citizens. Curfew extends.
You have some of my respect, Admiral. For now. Trust that you don't break that respect.
Interrogation and detained when necessary. the safest.
Well, now that we've dawdled around long enough, I collected enough money for another upgrade. Shame I can't sell any of this food. I have a feeling this might be part of the nowhere door, in which case, hopefully it might become relevant later.
Tell me what I can make for you.
Disable security devices will make them work in your favor by using a rewire tool on the circuitry panel for the security device you want to hack. This consumes the rewire tool. Rewired walls of light, arc pylons, and watchtowers will harm your enemies instead of you. All rewired alarms will be fully disabled. At minimum, I would like to have some of these just for the alarms. Obviously, I would prefer to keep the enemies alive. I wonder where his workshop key is.
Attention, citizens of Dunwall.
Interesting.
The Old Port District has been added to the evacuation list. The Weeper count for the month of siege has increased. The Lord Regent has decreed that plague ordinances will remain in effect through the month of rain. Stay alert and stay loyal.
I once served under Admiral Havelock. Captain Havelock then. I don't know if he remembers me, but I fear it's rude to ask. I don't want to embarrass him.
Hopefully they'll be brought back
I
up
was just
later.
a common riverman, hauling parcels and such along the river. But I know how to keep my trap shut, I do.
Memories of Pandysia. Excerpt from a book on the far continent, Pandysia. At the Academy of Natural Philosophy, they speak of the Pandysian continent as a place of wonder, where all of life has entwined and blossomed across aeons, producing a vibrant ecology unrivaled in the civilized world. The overseers from the Abbey of the Everyman, by contrast, talk of horror and heresies. Of course, of submen engaged in brutal, perverse rituals. The few who have traveled to the far continent and come back from the Isles, those who have actually touched the soil there, have returned with notes that describe vast deserts, deep jungles, and outlandish creatures that defy belief. Once in a generation, a great effort is mounted to build a colony there in hopes of this someday growing into a port city to rival Dunwell itself. But to date, these attempts have all ended in madness and failure.
River traffic is forbidden from landing in the distillery district due to risk of infectious contact. Violators will be taken to the flooded district for treatment and rehabilitation.
Fortunately, I cannot take that particular cue.
This is your room. It was chosen to give you privacy. I understand you'll need your rest.
Thank you, Wallace, who I have not really spoken with proper. Certainly cozy in its own way.
Do not attempt to house or care for a friend or family member who shows signs of blood on their face and chest area. The only way to help them is to bring them to the City Watch. They will be taken to the flooded district for treatment.
If by treatment you mean killed and or left for dead. Somewhere, you say. We appear to be without a door over here, which means we're likely not where we left off. Yes, that's about what I expected. Something's not right, you don't say, Corvo.
Hello, Corvo. Your life has taken a turn, has it not? The Empress is dead. Her precious daughter Emily is lost somewhere in the city, and you will play a pivotal role in the days to come. For this I have chosen you and drawn you into the void. I am the outsider, and this is my mark. There are forces in the world and beyond the world, great forces that men call magic. And now, these forces will serve your will. Use this newfound power, my gift to you. Come find me.
Well, thank you for the lack of choice in the matter. Power, blink. Press right-click to execute a fast and stealthy forward dash through the world. You can also use it to move forward, but distance is reduced. So to move upward, but distance is reduced. Aiming at ledges will allow you to blink forward and climb up. Hold it to target your destination with precision. A blue sphere indicates that you should reach your destination. A blue arrow indicates that you will climb up when you reach your destination. As I was predicting, spiritual remedy for a gain mana. Well, yes, she's dead. I believe she might be just a little bit beyond saving, thank you. Emily's letter. Corvo, I am very sad. They say that you're dead like mother. I'm going to put this note in a bottle and throw it into the river because I do not believe them. Living here is very strange. I don't like it, so please come for me if you can. Well, at least they're attempting to teach her, it seems, and don't worry, Emily, we got your letter. And we'll be sure to get them. Twins. And then we have the Spy Master playing his games. Evidently quite upset. Well, someone's about to die. I suspect we'll have to worry about dealing with these things later. Quite some long stints.
days that follow, your trials will be great, Corvo. Seek the ancient runes bearing my mark in the lonely places of your world, and at shrines raised in my name. These runes will grant you powers beyond those of other men. To help you find these runes, I give you this, the heart of a living thing, molded by my hands. With this heart, you will hear many secrets, and it will guide you toward my runes, no matter how they may be hidden. Listen to the heart now, and find another rune.
Well, that's a little uncomfortable. Also, it appears to have some bones jutting up. Red light, green light, it appears.
This place is the end of all things, and the beginning. All of time's meaningless here. Neither seconds, nor centuries. Someday this place will devour all the lights in the sky. The one who walks here is all things. Cradle songs of comfort in bones gnawed by teeth. This is the place from which those who dabble in black arts draw their power. And this place is their doom. I can feel the great age ending.
We only listened for briefly, but why do I get a feeling this is the voice of the Empress?
This place is the end of all things, and the beginning.
So we get to choose our upgrades. Interesting. Not as if we have much choice at this very moment beyond, well, vitality. Press right-click to see in the dark and to reveal living things through solid walls. You can also see their fields of view as well as visual representation of the sounds you make. Level 2 shows you important items through walls like security devices, weapons, ammo, coins, keys, and traps. Very useful.
How you use what I have given you falls upon you, as it has to the others before you. And now I return you to your world, but know that I will be watching with great interest.
Hidden in an old bar by the river, your new allies have plans to share with you. I believe this is the exact same thing that said prior. Several strange things around here now. Bone charms. Bone charms provide small supernatural benefits. Locate them by listening for the song they emit. By default, you can activate up to 3 bone charms at once in the bone charms section of the journal. Why do I have a feeling that these are things gifted to me by DLC? Given it's just given me an achievement for collecting 10 bone charms, I'm going to err towards yes, I'm not meant to have these quite this early. And we've also been given a number of books. The Journal of Granny Rags. Excerpt from the Ramblings of a Street Denizen. Of course I'm telling you, Terry. I won't keep any secrets from you in the end. All the dreary days of my life are like the windows of a house. From the kitchen I can see out into the garden, where leaves and stalks are brown and bugging. You can see a little lump of dirt where something was wrapped in a blanket and laid to rest along the rows of twisted vines. The front room looks out into the street, where the neighbors are all setting fire to their homes, barricading themselves inside. Warm and snug and airy. Don't forget about the bedroom either. It sees into a dreary alley where hooligans are playing a game with an old man. The first two are hitting him with sticks, and the girl with them is kicking at his dry old ribs. Oh, to have those bones, boil them in a pot. No one lives my house anymore, dearie. No one you'd want to meet. When I lived there with my husband, we were fine, fine people. Vera More, everyone would say. Your house is as grand as Boyle Manor. Even better, your dinners are lavish and your parties are the best. When that young Sokolov came to paint my portrait, I was nearly still in my prime. Radiant, he said, and he was just barely a man, so young, painting all the best people across the land. Everyone wanted a portrait by his hand, all my friends. I was the only one, dearie, wet with his paint, glistening on the canvas for a pretty coin. But it wasn't all parties and paintings. My husband and I weren't always at home, no. We traveled together, he and I, to the far ends of the Isles. Beyond even, all the way to the red cliffs of Pendicia, to dig into rock and crawl through the caves, holding up candles and squinting at the walls. Many precious things we came upon, but none so precious as the boy with the black eyes, dearie. All those marks and bones carved so deep and polished so bright. I brought the old bones home, hid them from my dear husband. Then I learned to boil them and carve them myself. They made such good presents, dearie. The little mute boy took them home. He loved them so. All the time he came back with new bones for me, holding them up so I could see it in his eyes, even though his tongue was still. Granny, his eyes would say to me, carve these bones for me, make me another present. We went so far, all the way to Dunwall Tower. The royal headsman himself now. My little mute boy and his shiny, shiny sword. Better bones are what I needed, you see. Better bones to carve and polish, scrape and gleam. My dear old husband was always tired. I made him soup, and then he was sick. Better bones was all. My little mute boy carved in the name of the one with black eyes. And after my husband was gone, giving away his birthday gifts, I didn't want to live there anymore. So now I'm old and don't have many to give my presents to. He's sifting through the garbage for granny rags and feeding little birdies that gather at my feet. No one wants to have tea, dearie, especially those rude louts on Bottle Street. Slackjaw and his boys always meddling with an old woman just trying to make her way. In the end, we'll be together with him. You and me in the dear airy night with stars above and below. And always the one with the black eyes, dearie. Someone else who knows the outsider and clearly a source of those bone shards. Quite a shame for her husband. And speaking of Slackjaw, early life and criminal record. Slackjaw. Excerpt from a series of letters sent by a member of the Bottle Street gang. You want the chinwag on Slackjaw? What he was like when he was young, before he got his name. Oh, he's got a cool head now, but it weren't always like that in the days before he was a boss of the Bottle Street gang. Time was, young Slackjaw wasn't such a reasonable man. Like most of us, he grew up on the streets, running with a pack of ragamuffins and avoiding the law, ching whatever he needed. Dark-haired and dark-eyed, smoking a pipe by the age of 10. For them born into the brothels or coming from the orphanages, it was either the gangs or working with the mudlarks, and no one wants that. Some got pressed into the Navy or put down in the mines run by the Pendleton or Boyle families. As hot as it was on the streets, as hungry as we all got, at least we was free. By the time we weren't little uns anymore, Slackjaw was one to watch, usually calling the shots when we took down the farmer's cart or sidewalk street vendor. He'd come up with a plan, give everyone some part to play, and decide on the split. Most of us just went along because we learned fast that we made our bet like that. More food, more coin. Plus none of us wanted to deal with Slackjaw when he was in rage. We worked on a couple of big jobs with Black Sally across town, and that was enough to get the attention of the other bosses. He wasn't just a straight kid anymore. He was an up-and-up-comer, which meant trouble. Another guy who fancied himself as such was Mike the Fish, who was working his way up running the protection racket among the factory women. One fine evening, we're all taken in a bawdy show in the theater house. Mike and the Fish and his lot were there in cheap seats too, just down the aisle from us. Mike gets a wild idea. He wasn't big on planning, and throws a heavy ceramic spittoon at Slackjaw. Hits him square in the face and breaks his jaw. We look to see if there's going to be a bloody brawl, but Slackjaw just points at the door and we all leave, with Mike laughing at our backs. Waking up the next day, without telling us why, Slackjaw motions for us all to follow. He still can't say a word, so we just come along. We stop at the docks and Slackjaw buys, actually pays coin for it, a heavy chain covered in hooks. It's for fishing in the deep, something you'd attach to a long line off the side of a ship. It's about 4 feet, made of thick lines, and there are shark hooks coming off at different angles. Slackjaw's got that thing wrapped around his left arm, dangling at his side. Not sure how he knew where Mike the Fish was staying, but when we reached his girl's house, Slackjaw throws a bottle through the window just like that. It's almost noon. There's a bunch of screaming inside, and Mike pokes his head out, looking wide-eyed and baffled. When he sees Slackjaw on the street, a look comes over his face that still gives me the willies. Pure murder. Mike comes out the side door, bellowing like a blood box, holding a cleaver, heading straight for Slackjaw. When they come together in the street, Slackjaw spins, and the shark hooks bite deep into Mike's arms and shoulder. He screams, but Slackjaw holds on to the chain. He's standing there with his jaw broken, clenched tight. The chain wraps around his left arm, hooks sunk into Mike the Fish, just knifing him as fast as he can. Mike couldn't fight very well, looked like that, and using his left hand. But he was a big guy, and took a lot of stabbing before he went to his knees. Everyone was cheering at first, but then we all went quiet. Just kept going and going until finally it was just Mike the Fish blubbering, crying like a baby, and the sound of Slackjaw's knife. When it was over, and here's the brilliant part, Slackjaw took out a note and stuck to Mike's face with a nail. Just said, if you want a job, come to Bottle Street. Slagdog didn't talk right for a couple of months, but word spread fast. By the end of the year, once we had a sizable gang going, he sent out letters to the other bosses, telling them that he was running a brand new crew over on Bottle Street. Most of them laughed or beat up the guys who delivered the letters. Green-eyed Trish even came back missing a thumb. Apparently Slackjaw was expecting that kind of reaction and had a backup plan. A week later, 4 of the bosses were dead. It seemed like a series of unfortunate events, but everyone knew better. One shot dead by the watch while standing in the middle of a meat market, another slipping and falling into the water out cold. One of the older bosses found in bed with his belly opened wide and Tivian pear stuffed into his mouth. Still not sure what that meant. And Chandler Barnsworth was found bubbling in a cauldron of hot wax. Slackjaw sent out a set of letters, offers to the underbosses, telling them they'd be treated fair as peers. He even sent Green-Eyed Trish with one of the letters. All of the underbosses accepted. After spilling the guts of his main competition, Slackjaw went in for stabilizing his business, real neat-like. Calling in favors, smoothing things over, giving everyone a little bit of coin or drink as a bonus, showing what he could be like as boss. So everything went quiet, which always makes the boys of the City Watch nervous, of course. Word went out among the Royal Spy Master Snitches, the responsible citizens group they called themselves, telling everyone working in a shop or sweeping out the front steps of their homes to keep watchful eyes for Slackjaw and his men, trying to suss out what they were up to and what had happened. Slackjaw ain't stupid. He greased a few palms among the shopkeepers and the watch too, telling them that he was in town to stay and that things would be run properly from now on, without so much blood. He was finally a real boss, ready to settle into the business of moving whiskey, running the hound fights, and offering up the ladies and gentlemen of the night if you take my meaning. I have a crick in the neck that I'll have to deal with later because that's not relaxing quite now. Then the plague came. At first it seemed like a good thing. A few people got sick and everyone wanted to buy these potions from Sokolova Piero. Health elixir, or spiritual remedy they call them. Slackjaw told me he saw an opportunity. We already had an old whiskey factory for still where we could water the stuff down and sell it discounted. Doing the same with... Incidentally, I had mentioned the definitive version earlier with various fixes and modifications. One of the things they had specifically noticed was duplicated words and typos. Clearly, this is an example of that. Doing the same, Sokolov's elixir was a smart plan. Pretty soon, everybody in the slums was sick and business was good. But after a while, there were so many people down the plague that everyone got scared. Everyone started acting real nasty and everything fell apart. When people can't work, they don't have the coin for elixir, watered down, or pure. When the Empress died, it seemed like Dunwall would slide into the void. Spymaster Burroughs took over, and the Watch started using all that new Sokolov technology. Watchtowers, tall buoys, and then arc pylons. They put up a wall of light across Clavering Boulevard and cracked down hard. But then Slackjaw surprised us again. Instead of leaving town on a boat bound for Morlaix or one of the other isles, he stayed and kept it all together. We get as much elixir to fight off the plague as the City Watch, with their taxes and rations. And that's kept us alive so far. Crowley, Bottle Street Gang. Perhaps not the best of men, but certainly a better man than most, I suppose. Alas, it's not that type of game, so we'll likely be going up against him. I am curious as to exactly what these artifacts actually do. They enable additional bone charms to be active. Alrighty then. I don't really want anything else on here, so. Field Survey Notes, The Royal Spy. Excerpt from the personal memoirs of Hiram Burrows, dated several years earlier. This is the 4th day, month of high cold. Progress continues on the suppression of gang activity in the Distillery District, but more slowly than I expected. The ruffians operating there have been cunning. I'll grant them that, but it's only a matter of time. I'll see their leaders flogged in public and sent beneath the royal executioner's blade. If I had my way, that mute bastard would be working night and day, removing the heads that need removing. Mute, you say? Internally, the Empress does not seem pleased with my investigations. Seems that it is beyond her thinking, against the very nature as a trusting person, to believe that traitors move among us. But I know they do. They must. Oh, Jessamine would rather spend her time with the Royal Protector. He's likely to stop any immediate threat to her safety, but a strong arm is not what's needed against those who would undermine us. How will Corvo's sword stop a poisoned wine glass or an explosive delivered by courier? It will not. There are many threats around us. Threats require meticulous efforts to police. Young Lady Emily is undisciplined, I'm afraid. Here within Dunwall Tower, she receives instruction from the finest tutors known in the Isles. Yet her mother spoils her, and she spends most of her time lost in imagination, wasting her time drawing, or asking Corvo to teach her to fight with wooden sticks. The girl might rule the Empire someday. Every moment spent at play is a moment wasted. Would you not say that knowing how to fight is very necessary? Shoring up security for the main gate leading into Dunwall Tower has been another pet project of late. To think that back in his day, Emperor Kaldwin left it open to the public during the day, allowing anyone to come and go as they pleased. If it were up to me, I'd seal off access to the streets entirely, but the Empress won't hear of it. The Waterlock is much easier to protect, and if it were the only way into the tower, traffic in and out would be greatly reduced. Someday the wrong person is going to slip in and will suffer for it, mark my words. No amount of security is excessive when it comes to protecting heads of state. You don't say. The Empress also disapproves of my plans for the Sokolov devices. Sokolov himself has no interest in security, of course, but he's vain and therefore keen to see his inventions deployed in any fashion. This wall of light he's been tinkering with as promised. In any case, at least I was able to convince the Empress to upgrade the pistols carried by the officers of the watch. Why do I so worry when no one else seems to care? If I ever fall asleep, will it all sink into the ocean? Will the rough things clamber over the walls and fill themselves with our flesh? This is what I see in the same dream several times each month. If only I had more say in things, more authority, I could protect us all. Perhaps I've been working too hard. Dinner and an evening of conversation with a certain lady of refinement might be in order. Perhaps someone nice in the estate district. Hiram Burrows, Royal Spy Master. The beginning of his end, I suppose. And finally, assuming there's nothing else in here, we have what I hope will be the last book before I can rest my throat. Rumors and Sightings, Dawn. Excerpts from an Overseer's Covert Field Report. For over a year now I have lived away from the Abbey, without the company of my Overseer brethren or the guidance of the blind sisters of the Oracular Order. Days have passed with me sleeping in the dens of cut-purses, murderers, and worse. The nights have seen me prowling through the worst alleys and wretched corners of Dunwall. I have taken my meals with killers. At times I have ventured beyond the city walls, meeting in forgotten graveyards and the outlying ruins frequented by those of ill means. My beard has grown long, and I wear the weathered clothing and bits of boiled leather favored by the Bottle Street and Hatter gangs, and by those rough men and women who make their trade knifing others in return for coin. My hands have run red with blood, it's true, but I have selected my targets with care, choosing among those criminals and heretics who are not fit to live, executing them justly, and using their deaths as a means of building my reputation. So far, this trick has allowed me to make my name among my murderous colleagues, without taking the lives of the innocent. I see. My goal is singular. I must impress the assassin named Dodd in order to get close to him. Of all of the practitioners of black magic we have tracked, none concern the Abbey so much as Dodd. It is said that his mother was a witch from one of the archipelagos off the Pandesian coast, taken captive by pirates venturing far from the isles. According to legend, by the time the ship returned, the captain was dead and the witch controlled the crew, with Dodd still a shadow in her belly. The earliest stories tell of a gang killer without mercy, moving among the shopkeepers and city watch officers of Dunwall like a reaper through wheat. Then a period of silence followed. Years we now believe he spent traveling the isles, studying anatomy and occult in the great halls of learning and hidden basements frequented by fellow dabblers of the forbidden arts. Dodd is even purported to have spent a winter in the Academy of Natural Philosophy itself. For a time before a schism developed, he counted the Brigmore witches among his allies. All the while he owned his craft, and it is during this time that we believe he began to consort with the outsider. New reports emerged of a dusky-skinned assassin paid by the elite to eliminate their rivals in Dunwall and in other major cities across the Isles. Those who saw him and lived numbered in a handful, but all of them reported something strange. He appeared and vanished like smoke. From a nearby rooftop he gestured, and a noblewoman stumbled from a balcony, falling to her doom on the cobblestones below. Most recently, as this new threat of plague has risen in Dunwall, Dodd has been seen leading a gang of men in dark leather, dressed as factory whalers in their vapor masks. They seem loyal beyond comprehension for one so unworthy, leading me to wonder if some of his magic is dedicated to lulling their minds and enslaving him. Now, we did see some such people, which raises some questions. Leastwise, who is this Dodd? Only a month ago, one young girl claims to have come upon a strange scene. Carrying a bottle of milk home to her crippled brother, she was taking a shortcut through the Taylor's district. In a narrow street, she passed beneath a window and heard unusual sounds from within. Pushing aside the ratty curtain, the girl saw into an abandoned apartment, used by miscreants for gambling and trading harbor wheat. An occult shrine had been erected against the far wall, which she recognized from teachings given by a local overseer. A man she described as resembling Dodd was kneeling before the shrine, muttering to an unseen spirit as if in argument. He took a carving made of pale bone from the altar before him, and the lights all went out in a gush of unclean wind. Quiet as a field mouse, she slipped away, running until she reached her home. There can be no doubt. Dodd is an agent of the outsiders and must die. But there is no limit to the evil this man might do. This is my solemn oath and the great purpose of my life. Till Dodd is dead. Until Dodd is dead, that is what he wrote. And his corruption has been purged from the world, I will continue to move among the depraved, winding my way toward him. I will not draw my guise or don my overseer's mask again until Dodd breathes no more.
Should I clear space for Samuel then?
If you like, but he won't use it.
Why?
He can't sleep in regular beds anymore, or that's what he says. Says he was in the Navy too long.
What in heaven's name was that?
Oh. That pile of wood out there? It's a hovel he built from an old rowboat. Where does Admiral Havelock find these people, I wonder?
Samuel, let's hope we can keep you relatively safe.
Attention, citizens of Dunwall. The Old Port District has been added to the evacuation list. The Weeper count for the month of Seeds has...
Well, let's get down to it. First off, I know that assassination is dark business, but sometimes good men have to do bad things to make the world right. Our purpose is clear. We want to restore Her Majesty's line by finding and putting Emily Kaldwin on the throne. To those ends, we'll hide, act in shadow, take them apart, piece by piece. Tonight, High Overseer Campbell dies by your hand. It won't be easy. He's protected by his overseers, an army of religious zealots. But if anyone can do it, you can. Your exploits are legendary. Campbell carries a private journal. Once you've eliminated him, get the journal, because we think it contains Emily's location. Recovering her is obviously critical, assuming she's alive. That's the gist of it. Remember our cause and strike true. We're counting on you.
We'll see what our options are.
Campbell is holding a former overseer by the name of Martin. He's one of us, and if you manage to find him, give him whatever help you can. He's a master strategist, and he got caught working for our cause. It'd be good to have him back here at the Hound Pits.
I will certainly do my best. And last, we have at least one more thing to read. The Exquisite Tall Boy. Excerpt from a letter of public concern by anonymous authors. What you've read here is the truth, regardless of what you hear from the authorities who rule over us. It is not a matter of coincidence that a former royal spy master is the one who stepped in when the late Empress fell. We, who will remain nameless, believe that these events are interconnected. The signs of oppression are all around us. The Sokolov designs, originally intended to provide light and warmth in our homes, have been turned against us as a means of inspiring fear and controlling our movements through the city. And where did this plague originate? Some say it was imported. A wild theory? Perhaps. One of our members risked her life to obtain an internal report from the government, which we will be printing and sharing soon, called The Exquisite Tall Boy, extolling the virtues of this newest member of the City Watch. To those in the streets below, these virtues are horrors spread by stilted thugs who rain down fire on the sick and the poor. To these eyes, the Tall Boy is another government bully, armed with incendiary devices, thickly armored and standing high overhead, looking down at the common people of the city. We now know that the Tall Boys are heavily drugged, imbibing a substance that renders them resistant to pain, but also dulls whatever empathy they might normally possess. Exquisite? We think not. Copy these words and share them with your neighbors. Now remember, when ties are lowest, the truth will be revealed. Incidentally, can I see my money? Oh, I suddenly have a lot more coin than I thought. Looks like I need to find an abandoned apartment key at some point.
Attention Dunwall citizens.
We are the only authorized agents for Harold Blythe's hand-carved limbs in this part of the city. If you or a loved one has lost a limb at Sun, waging war against the terrible beast there, you will be delighted by Mr. Blythe's work. We accept coin only, no trade, no barter.
Oh, Corvo? Corvo. Hello. I'm Callista. I work here for Admiral Havelock. I'm sorry to intrude on your business, but this is important. I suspect you're going to kill the High Overseer. That wretched man. There's really no reason for you to listen to me. But my uncle, Jeff Kernow, still serves as captain in the City Watch. But he's a good man, and my only family. The chatter in servant circles is that Campbell just took delivery of an exotic poison, and I think I know why. My uncle's not corruptible like the rest of them. Campbell is going to poison my uncle. Do you think you could protect him? You used to do that, right? Before you had your current profession, before you became an assassin.
I'll see what I can do. Wow, this mission clue provides virtually none of the information she gave us. Doesn't provide a name, it doesn't tell us who's threatening them or how they're threatening them. So I'll simply have to be expected to remember, oh, this man is going to be poisoned.
I overheard the Admiral at breakfast, talking about the Overseers. That's all I heard. And I think it's better if I don't know too much.
What can I do for you?
When I upgrade my capacity to 20, why can I only carry 10? Suppose there's a sub-capacity of some kind. Ah, that only upgrades regular crossbow bolts, so that was a waste of money. Excuse me, I can buy a rune from you. How did you... Alright. As we'll save up for one of the later upgrades. Before I forget.
Somewhere in the basements below, hound kills hound, and money changes hands. Each and every night, the black-eyed outsider visits upon Piero's dreams. He is Piero Joplin. Even now, he visualizes the next invention. Astonishing. I wish you could see it too. Poor Piero. His elixirs have cured so much for so many, but they cannot cure his brain fevers. The youngest ever to pass through the Academy of Natural Sciences. Sokolov will never forgive him that. He has spied upon Callista as she bathes. More than once.
Not information I needed, but thank you. Although I suppose that Piero has a bit more justification.
Such laughter, and they're singing the old songs, linking arms. But that was from a happier time.
Piero's Door to Nowhere. The Door to Nowhere has proven to be a safety hazard, but for me this project is an endless source of inspiration. With proper application of energies, I believe I can transform the door frame into a window of sorts. One that will allow a traveler to cover the distance from my workshop to some distant arbitrary point in a single step. Currently, the step leads to a sheer drop straight down to the courtyard, but in time it will bridge gaps that will boggle the mind. Such work is many years away, to be sure, but if I survive this plague, I'm sure to succeed. Time will tell, I suppose. We have a bit more nosing around before we leave.
The other servants don't like her. Work is never done for the lowly servant. Her servant wages will not be enough to fix her father's debts. For all the hard work, there is little reward for her. If she lives until tomorrow, her day off, she will be mauled by weepers and left for dead. Do not pity the servant. There is pride in the job well done.
Well, that's great. I'm more concerned about the fact that she's badly going to die tomorrow.
I had a sailor for a boyfriend once. He thought he'd strike gold digging in the Pandician cliffs. They found his ship drifting empty.
One moment, I just got a message. Alright, it's just a random server notification. Being attacked by a fish. I'm being attacked by a fish. Demonic little piranha. Don't even know what damaged me that time. Can I open this? No, I cannot.
Admiral Havelock has seen more corpses than all the rest put together. He has killed whales and men for profit and pleasure. He has the bloodlust. He tried to seize control of the military after the Empress. After the Empress was murdered.
Yes, this is definitely the Empress's art.
Look at him. Admiral Havelock grows restless on land. There was a younger brother, an artist, sensitive, soft, taken at 9 by a fever. Havelock loved him truly. Admiral Havelock has seen more corpses than all the rest put together. She hides her hands. They are raw and scarred from the washing.
They look perfectly normal and they are far from hidden, but I'll take your word for it.
Deals are made here, sometimes under the influence of wine, and sometimes the influence is the point of a knife. The common woman, she fears the abbey and the plague. Before the sun rises, they toss any casualties into the river, men or hound. They all go in. They top off the wine with river water, but eventually someone swoons. Then fresh bottles are fetched from the cellars. She is a seamstress in a shop frequented by the wealthy. There is nothing common about the work she does every day. Their fate rests on your effort, on the strength of your hands and of your heart. They stood in a circle around the candles and cut their hands to form their alliance. The blood hissed as it touched the flames. The conspirators have found a safe home here. They take great care that they are not followed.
Very nice, bed to be
He
sure.
spies on his neighbors and reports to the overseers.
Well, that's a concern.
Only after a long day of work will he return to his home and family. He always eats very well, even as his wife and child grow thin. It is in the common man that the Abbey finds its most faithful. He steals from his business partner, a little every day.
Well, now I don't like this man at all.
Some men can still find work along the waterfront. He didn't tend to that cut, and now it festers. A man is only as common as his dreams. All that he had was lost in the flood. Only after a long day of work will he return to his home and family.
Fortunately, we appear to be missing nobleman, so I can't look for him quite yet. Let's see, is there any other way up there? Certainly some values in there. I do not care for the fact that it is zooming in like that. Speaking of, our spyglass feature. Interesting.
Attention Dunwall citizens. River traffic
Right, nothing else of value or information quite yet, outside of feeling this touch. Let's speak to Samuel and be away, and we'll wrap up.
Samuel
When you want to
Beechworth
set out,
went to sea to forget
just
a
give the word.
hopeless love. He succeeded. The boatman has a good heart.
I'm ready when you are,
Respects
sir.
you. Samuel is a simple man, but he knows the River Redhaven and all its
I'm at your
tributaries, down to the smallest inlet. He has many scars, some from the flood
I look
of
forward
the
to my
river
adventures
quests,
with you, sir.
some from the nameless monsters of the deep ocean. Samuel was once eager to hear Havelock's stories of the sea, but perhaps the Admiral is not what he expected. Samuel Beechworth went to sea to forget a hopeless love. He succeeded. The boatman has a good heart.
Ready to go?
And respects you.
Just give the signal.
I didn't already have that on. High Overseer Campbell. High Overseer Campbell leads the city's militant religious faction and is a close ally to the Lord Regent. Campbell is completely corrupt, as we well know, and holds the secret to Emily's location. Excuse me. Infiltrate the office of the High Overseer, steal Campbell's journal, and eliminate him. An ally to the Loyalists, Martin, is being held there. Free him and allow him to escape.
It'll be a rough trip. Used to be to go straight up Clavering Boulevard, but now it's not so easy. Half the city's dead of the plague. The other half's fighting over what's left. City Watch still holds the bigger streets, and they've set up those wall of light checkpoints. Man walks through one of those, and he ends up burned to a crisp. Everything not controlled by the City Watch is gang territory. Then there are the real odd birds living on the fringes, like that Granny Rags. They say she's nuts. I don't know which is worse. Just take your pick. If you decide to go up Clavering, don't let the guards spot you. Watch out for the Bottle Street thugs if you take to the alleys. Mean bastards.
I'm not sure how I feel about this doubling as a focusing in. At any rate, we're going to end there. A touch early, but obviously this reading is not quite great on my throat. Many thanks to those who came here and popped in, those who may watch this later as a VOD on Twitch or on YouTube. My thanks, of course, also to Timmy, who came meowing his way in. Next week, there should hopefully be a Monday stream. I believe the author needs to wrap up some little witch game. Again, no Tuesday streams for the rest of the month. And of course, I will be back next Wednesday in order to resume Dishonored. For now, I hope everyone has a good evening. Stay safe, stay well, and stay well fed.